this is ESPN's look back at the Browns draft class of 2022. So you remember third round, they ended up taking Martin Emerson with the 69th overall pick. To this point, the gem of the Browns class. The one thing I would say, Randy, the more I saw of him on the field, the more I wanted to see of him on the field. The question is, can he build on it? He has the physical and the physical tools and is physical at the line of scrimmage, which I think plays into what Jim Schwartz wants from his corners.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how I didn't realize it, but watching him in college, he looked like a good player. You could tell that he had good size, but I don't know if he just had a big summer or something, but he came into training camp and he looked like a linebacker. I mean, he was bigger than the wide receivers that he was facing. He had that huge preseason game where he just ripped the ball out of the wide receiver's hand and ran back for a touchdown, became an instant favorite for the Browns. But he was just, full of confidence too, I think was the big thing. That's huge for defensive backs to be able to have that confidence. And he never went out there with an attitude of being a rookie, being a third round pick. He went out there with the attitude that I'm going to shut down whoever I'm facing. And you could see him playing with that kind of aggression. And I agree with you. The more you saw him, the more you want to see him out there. I think he was an absolute home run pick. And at first I wasn't too sure about the move. I didn't know a whole lot about him, but that ended up being one of the better picks that Andrew Berry's ever made.
Yeah, the cornerbacks that the Browns have picked under Andrew Berry have been really good. So let's see what happens in year two. Another guy this guy's intriguing, Alex Wright. You kind of knew that a guy coming from UAB was going to be a little bit of a project. Third round, 78th overall. Again, he flashed, but you'd like to see more. But I think they kind of developed him as a guy to pick. And then also David Bell. Bell was kind of banged up and third round, 99th overall. Didn't seem like he really ever caught up from missing that time in the preseason. So Wright and Bell, when you look at them, what do you see?
Well, I've already you mentioned Alex Wright a couple times today. I was a big fan of his coming out of UAB. It's exactly like you said. You knew he was going to need some time to develop. I thought he did very well as a rookie for what they needed out of him. He held up very well against the run. He was able to swat down a couple of passes at the line of scrimmage in a couple games. So, he made use of the long arms. I think that you have something there. You'd like to see him start winning a little more in the pass rush. I saw they had on that article that he had a 5.8% pass rush win rate. Now that just comes from, needing to learn a little more technique in that department and everything. But I do think he has a whole lot of upside. So he was probably my favorite pick during the draft. And I think you hit the nail on the head with David Bell. Unfortunately, he came in with way too high of expectations. I think people thought he would just jump in and be, a 50, 60 reception guy. But that's usually not the case for a third round pick. And then especially when you lose a little time early in the season with injuries. But Bell caught just about everything that came his way. He did what he was supposed to do when he was out there on the field. So I think he's going to have a good leap in year two.
Then we're going to look at a couple more of them. So Perrion Winfrey is a guy, again, I think, Browns fans had really high expectations for. As he got a little further into the year, you started to see some of the flash. That's a guy I'm really interested to see what Jim Schwartz can do with him. When I mentioned Schwartz unlocking a guy, this is the guy I'm really interested to see what Jim Schwartz can do. Cade York, he hit the opener and then, man, it was a struggle. But again, rookies go through that, even rookie kickers. So let's talk a little bit about Winfrey and Cade York.
Yeah, I agree with you on Winfrey. I was excited about him as well. He didn't bring a lot in run defense, but you saw him winning in the passing game a lot. In college, he had the issues at the beginning of the season. Kind of got called out by Myles Garrett, was disciplined by the coaching staff, and it seemed like he started to put it together at the end of the season. You started to see that athleticism really kind of come through. He was playing more aggressively without, having to sit there and constantly think about the game, letting his athletic traits do the work. So I am also excited to see what he can do under Jim Schwartz. I think that, there is a chance that they may want to bring him in as the starting 3 tech and not bring back somebody like Taven Bryan. So that would be really good to see. As far as Cade York, yeah, it was such highs and lows, and it happened real quick. Where he hits that 58-yarder to beat the Panthers, and you're thinking, hey, here's our kicker, we got our guy. And it seemed like once he got into Cleveland, he just the wind just really messed with him there, and he struggled a lot. Obviously, you can't give up on him after just 1 year, especially with his 4th-round pick. But this year is going to be big for him. We got to see him try to get that figured out.